Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Epic Lake. Welcome back to another video. Now, today's video is episode 3 of our Pokemon VGC podcast series, and we are going to be going over a very controversial topic in Pokemon VGC, and that is hacking. But before we start the video, please leave a like down below on this video, and please subscribe for more future content of VGC and the podcast series. It really can help my channel grow, and I would really appreciate it if you do so. But anyways, getting straight into the video, today we are going to be covering hacking in VGC, my thoughts on it, and how I think it impacts the community, and the resources that are available to the community. I don't think there's too much introduction to explain, so let's get into it. Actually, there is one thing I do want to say. I'm not trying to start any drama. I'm not trying to start any drama. I'm just going to state my personal preference. I'm also going to give some maybe reason to why people are hacking, and why some people are against it as well. I'm going to I'm going to show both sides, and I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just kind of showing. I'm giving my thoughts to you guys about what I think about this subject and how I think it impacts the community. Just so you know, so don't go, writing hate speeches about me and whatnot. Like, I'm really just trying to provide some interesting content for you guys. I know hacking is definitely a subject in VGC that, I feel like more people should be educated about and, what it is about. And so, I think that leads us to our first good point in this video. And I actually do not have a script down. I have, 12 words or probably 20 words about what I probably should talk about. So if I, space out or something like that, yeah, you probably know the reason why. But I do want to get this video up tonight for you guys. I actually was recording a little special video, a special Battle Spot video yesterday, but my camera ran out of gigabytes, and that video cannot be accessed now on my camera, which sucks. It's on my phone. But anyways. I said I was going to get sidetracked. But for those of you who don't know what hacking is, hacking is basically, there is a not branded by Nintendo, console that you can use, a console that you can buy, or a little cartridge, that you can buy, and you can insert that, that little, it's called a power saver, and what this allows you to do is you can hack in lots of games, and including Pokemon. And what this allows you to do is you can basically put in anything you want. If you want to Mega Rayquaza at level 100, max attack adamant, 252 in attack, 252 speed, 4 in HP, you can go ahead and do that in the matter of almost an instant, which is definitely a big deal. And so, obviously, what you do is you hook the power saver up to your computer, and what'll happen is, or what I've been told, is that, a little thing will show up, say, I forget what it's called, PokeSaver, I think, I'm not so sure, but you insert your game cartridge. So what you do is you basically type in whatever Pokemon you want with, whatever items you want, and then basically you'll say confirm, I believe, I'm not so sure how it really works, but I guess confirm, and then it should, save it to your game or something like that. I feel like that's the gist of how it should work. Yeah, but basically what this means is so that any time spent breeding Pokemon, countless hours spent breeding Pokemon can be, summarized in just about maybe 20 minutes, probably even less than that, getting a perfectly, fully EV'd and IV'd trained team. Now, I'm going to talk about a lot of negatives here, and yes, I'm going to voice my stance, but I am going to give a counter argument, and I'm really going to try to make sure that I can provide a good argument, and I'm not writing a hate speech about people that do hack. I'm just stating my opinion. And so this creates almost an unbalance in Pokemon, because on one hand, Pokemon is a game in which it's your journey. You train up Pokemon, you spend those hours catching them, hours training them, and that end result shows that. It's always been about gotta catch them all, and not plug in something to your game system and then just get them. And on top of that, it's not officially licensed by Nintendo, so Nintendo doesn't approve of this, obviously. So that's another big issue of the whole ordeal. So I just feel like hacking. I'm gonna say I don't like hacking, and I feel like I'm gonna go on one of the main reasons why. I feel like it just splits the community. Um, splits the community on which side you want to take on it. Because, okay, first thing I'm gonna state, hacking as far as in VGC in the official rulebook, if you go over, the legitimacy of Pokemon, I forget what section it is, but I know there is something in there that the Pokemon has to be bred, and it cannot be used from, I feel like, illegal or illegally out outside sources. Pretty much saying like the Pokegener is what some people call it, but most people call it PK Hex. Lots of people call it a PK Hex. That's like Pokemon thing that you can get any Pokemon. So they are talking about PK Hex. And so, obviously that brings up a real big deal. Like, okay, well, obviously it's against the rules, right? So you would think if it's against the rules, then nobody would be doing it. But here's the thing, players, the community over the years, or some certain people over the years, have made it so where their program can kind of go through those little hoops and make and some Pokemon, I've been to tournaments where I'm getting off topic, I don't really know what to say, but now I do. Some tournaments, they hack check your Pokemon. Like when I went to Philadelphia regionals, I got my team hack checked twice. Basically, what that does is, some tournament officials will say, "Hey, I want your DS," and I actually was new to this. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so I get them my DS, and what they'll do is they'll just look at your team, make sure everything corresponds to your team sheet, and they really crack down on this. Like, I remember one player used to wrote down a meadow plate instead of a that one item that gives you a little 1.2 power for grass type moves that I forget right now. It's not grassy seed. But it's that one item that came out in Gen 5, I believe. There was like the charcoal something else. I forget the other ones. But someone wrote that down and they got disqualified. So they really cracked down on just making sure everything's exact. And they they have a system that goes through the hack checks, and they look at Pokemon, make sure their stats are all inbound. And here's the thing with PK Hex. And if you didn't hear before, PK Hex is the abbreviation for this Pokemon this Pokemon hacking device. That's what most of the community calls it. So PK Hex can hack you in any Pokemon with any stat. Now, here's the thing. If you can hack yourself in a Xerneas with 999 special attack, and you go to a tournament with that, when they look at your team, you're going to be automatically disqualified because that is 100% hacked. Because Xerneas cannot have a special attack stat of 999. Actually, no Pokemon can without Calm Mind or special attack boost. So obviously, you're just going to be disqualified right then and there. And so obviously, you may say, okay, well, if that's the answer to the problem, then they can't really hack. But that's not it, because you can also hack. Well, obviously, you can hack, within the stats. You can hack completely, quote unquote, legal stats, stats that look completely normal, and Pokemon, or the people that PK hexed, they're actually getting really good at making them look like legitimate Pokemon. Like some, tournament officials, or most tournament officials, just really can't tell the difference. And so obviously, this is huge situation, because it's basically like now saying, okay, well, you have two sides. You have the one side that PK hexes, and that they don't spend countless hours trying to breed up Pokemon, and you have the one side that it takes time to breed Pokemon, and there's always those chances that you get caught with hacked Pokemon, obviously, and obviously, in my opinion, here I'm gonna say my personal opinion. I believe that hacking is wrong. I'm not gonna report you or anything if you hack. I just feel like it's not the good moral decision. Like for me, I could go on and on, but I'm gonna say this for at least just now. For me, I love Pokemon. Like Pokemon for me is a passion, and it's something that, given the chance, I wouldn't cheat in this game. That's my personal opinion. I love it that much, and my integrity to the game, that it'd almost be like a sin, to cheat in this game. But that's my personal opinion. But anyways, obviously you have PK Hex and the people that created it, they're getting to where you can make completely legitimate Pokemon, and the tournament organizers, they can't tell. They can't tell whether it's real or fake, which comes down to a really big issue, because now the tournament organizers, all they can really do at these tournaments is basically, like, I've had a couple tournament organizers say to me, like, are all your Pokemon, all your Pokemon legal? I'm like, yes. And realistically speaking, that's all they can do. As long as the person has made them, like, look legitimate, like, look, the hacked Pokemon look legitimate and said, yeah, they're completely legal, then what else is there to do? Like, you can't really do much else. That's pretty much the only thing. You can't really do much else in that situation other than saying, yeah, they're legitimate and, they look legal. And in that case, obviously you're fine. And I feel like that's just an easy way. Now, I don't know about PK hexing that much, because I know there's, like, a way that you can also screw it up really badly to make it kind of obvious that you hacked outside of, like, abnormal stats, if I believe so. But for the most part, the people that do it, like, there's also a little circle. Like, people will ask each other, hey, a week before or a day before the tournament, like, hey, I need, I don't know, freaking, I don't even know, Scarf Ogre, for internets or something like that, and they'll just be like, I got you. So they'll hit each other up, and they will, get the hacked Pokemon. I feel like also lots of people know each other in this community, and so they're obviously wanting to help one another. And so PK hexing, lots of people PK hex, and PK hexing, I'm gonna state, is against the rules. That is my opinion. It's 100% against the rules within the rulebook. Now, if I would have been really good on my research here. I forget where it is stated, but it is stated under the illegally manipulated Pokemon. You can look at the 2019 rules. I might pull it up later. I'm not so sure, but it is there. I know that. I don't know if that just showed up, but we're gonna click later. So yeah, it's definitely something where obviously it can become an issue, because now tournament organizers do not know whether Pokemon are whether the Pokemon's real or the Pokemon's fake. And of course, if the Pokemon is like hacked in, then there is consequences for that. And so now it becomes an issue where tournament organizers really don't know what's what, at least from just an outsider's really point of view. So that creates a problem. And I think another problem is just like with hacking in general, is that people know each other so well, so there's definitely correlations between person to person, and so they can build teams and within minutes, and being able to practice with them a lot more, which brings me into another point. Now, I know lots of people say, and I'm not hating on hackers a whole lot, I'm just kind of stating my personal opinions. It might seem like I am, but trust me, I'm not. Just my opinions. Because some people that hack, that will try to defend themselves and say it's not that bad, will say, oh, well, hacking doesn't really do anything in game. And well, that is true. It doesn't do anything, okay, in the battle. It does do lots of stuff in game. Speaking of which, if you guys don't know, I breed my Pokemon. I'm not just saying this to say this. I do. I have 960 hours on my Pokemon Ultra Sun game. I have all 32 boxes, Pokemon PC boxes filled. I had probably released over maybe even 32 PC boxes of eggs, and like Pokemon, breeding Pokemon. And it's taken me so long to get the Pokemon that I've had. And so obviously, let's say you were to train up a Pokemon, right? And that's going to take so much longer for you, right? And so, obviously, there's going to be less time to practice, well, compared to a person that has, just hacked it in, right? In 5 minutes, and they can go practice. Well, maybe for me, having a Pokemon that's like, having a Pokemon, it could take me weeks to breed that Pokemon, and that's just so much time lost in preparation and whatnot. Like, I'm going to have to set a solid month aside for to get a team together for the to train up a team for the Ultra Series, and that's not fair to me, because just looking, I'm like, I could just start PK hexing and save myself so much time. But obviously I had this moral where I'm like, well, I don't want to disrespect my favorite game that I'm loyal to like that. But it comes down to this scenario where like people that hack they get more practice time, in my opinion. Actually no, they should get more practice time than the person that just takes the time and breaks them legitimately, which I feel like is a problem, and I feel like it's kind of sad because I'm stuck in this position where, like, obviously I'm not gonna PK Hex ever, and that's just for me. Like, I'd rather spend the hours upon hours upon hours, just breeding and breeding, but knowing that I'm sticking truthful to my game, the one I hold dear, to my heart. But I feel like there's an issue because the time, or the difference in time between the two is so immense that it means, yeah, obviously the people that hack can get obviously a lot more practice, and that means they might be able to they might be able to know certain matchups better and be able to anticipate and prepare for certain matchups better than the person that doesn't hack. And they take their time and breed their team legitimately. Now, on the counter argument, going against this, actually, let's take that for a minute. I just want to try to wrap the whole the pro, quote unquote, to hacking, because you obviously get more practice time, and it leaves you time to do something else. Here's the main thing. Pokemon takes a lot of time. Unlike other esports, I'm gonna categorize Pokemon as a competitive esport. Unlike other esports, Pokemon, there's a lot of stuff that happen outside the battle. Like, yeah, with other games, if you're like CSGO or Ultimate, yeah, you can practice a lot, but almost half the practice, if not more, is just building a team. And so that differs it a lot. So if you can cut out that, half that time and be able to save that time, so you can actually practice more, that's going to be obviously more efficient. Or one would think. Because here's my counter argument for just saying that hacking is more efficient. Because let's say you take the time. This is my little argument. Like, people that hack will say, okay, well, we have obviously we have more time to practice, or actually no, that's what people against hackers say, is like, you guys have more time to practice. But I'm not defending. Here's another statement. I made that sound really bad, but here's just something I wanted to say. If you take the time to breed your Pokemon and whatnot, you get to know your team. You get to know what their strengths are. And, I can look at a team through breeding and then suddenly think, oh, I should replace Incineroar with, I'm thinking Ultra Series right now. I should place Incineroar with Hitmontop because I'm weak to Primal Kyogre and that Wyguard could come in handy. Or, oh, I'm weak to Stakataka. So, Hitmontop will definitely help in that matchup, with close combat. Think like that. And it's able, just because you're breeding, and while you're breeding, like, you, at least for me, like, I can think of strategies and obviously think of, like, how will this perform in my head, and thinking of, different ways I can go about the team, different strategies with it. So it really kind of gives you a more personal touch to the Pokemon, and allowing you to kind of look in and see what they want to do and, what they're weak to. And, well, obviously, this might not seem that significant. For me, at least, I think it works quite well to be able to just, while breeding, be able to think of strategies. Obviously, I think of strategy beforehand as well, but breeding, it really just, like, while you're doing it, you're just you're playing Pokemon, right? And so once you're playing Pokemon, you're thinking about your team, at least for me, and you're always thinking, okay, what can I do? Like, what is this weak to? Like, let's say I build a team, like, Ultra Necrozma, Tapu Lele, Aegislash, and I don't know, Necrozma Duskmane, and then I go look, I'm building that team, or I looked at it and I thought it'd be cool, so I'm gonna go, let's say, this one guy goes and hacks it in, compared to a person, that simply looks at it and says, huh, I can change this around, this around, this around. Maybe that wasn't the best example, but once you breed, you can really start to figure out what your team's weak to, and it's good because it's like a low-key, it's low-key learning. I just came up with that, but I feel like some part of learning, like, it can't all be high-intensive learning, because I feel like that's bad for the brain. Sometimes you just have to sit back sometimes and let the ideas come to you. There are many times when I get ideas for videos when I'm blanking in class, when I'm just not paying attention, or I'm at home, or just, playing outside, playing tennis, shooting hoops, I don't know, just biking. I'm always thinking of just ideas and whatnot, rather than, like, when you go and sit down. I feel like it's a very linear approach. Obviously you want to get certain goals done, but when you're team building, at least in my opinion, you're more relaxed. But I mean, obviously you're thinking about your team, but it's like a relaxed, more open feel to it. And once you're building that team, at least in my opinion, I have to think, okay, is this team worth the investment? I got to think of all the strategies behind it and something that I could add in process, and maybe a move that I didn't think I need. Like, I remember, I don't think this is gonna relate to the subject, but it might. So I actually went to a mid-season showdown and a premiere yesterday, and we have some really good players there. Actually, James Evans. I faced James Evans. Of course, he obliterated me because he's a god. But my Serena, I used light screen, and he was like, "Oh, I never knew that." And obviously, okay, so this was an example. I'm not saying James hacks at all. No, that is not what I'm referring to in the slightest. But for someone, let's say a certain matchup that's similar to that in the future, someone looks at that and they maybe hack their Pokemon in, without too much care, and then they maybe face another Serena that they have a Serena, but they face another Serena. Well, they might not know it has light screen because maybe they only looked at a very linear team. They didn't look at a broad approach. They looked at a very linear moveset that they copied from, I don't know, Showdown or something like that, or just from someone gave it to them. So they have a very linear approach. Well, someone that that takes the time and care to look at the moveset, the full moveset of a Pokemon, to be able to learn its correlation and how it benefits the team. How it benefits another player's team. I feel like that's also another huge thing. It really, really helps a team come together in terms of just being able to kind of, feel your Pokemon more. And I think this brings to kind of a moral side. Obviously, hacking, I mean, the term hacking is just doing something illegal, or that's not the exact term, but it's doing something illegal to that extent. And obviously, in this game, it's no exception. It's no exception. Obviously, hacking is against the rules. And so I feel like that brings up a moral side. Like me, like I said, VGC is dear to my heart, and Pokemon as well. So I don't want to, it's not sinning, but I don't want to, break that, not connection, that sounds weird, but, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want to break that, loyalty, I feel, to, VGC. And for me, at least, if, when you do something and it takes a lot more time, but you get it done, you feel good, right? Like, say you're studying for a midterm, and you finally finished that one paper that was due, and, yeah, you could have, had your friend do it if your friend's, I don't know, Albert Einstein or something, but if you did it, you just feel that reward, that yes, that oh, this is done, thank God. You know what I mean? That sort of feeling. Yes. That feeling. You feel good. You feel like you've conquered something. You've accomplished something. And I feel like for me, that's with breeding. If I train up a strong Pokemon, it takes me hours to do it, and then I see it does well, I'm like, yeah, that was a good investment of my time, and I feel happy for the time I invested and put into that Pokemon. And it also makes it so the time that Pokemon that you put in all the hours to breed up that don't do well, it makes it even better when the Pokemon that do perform well, that you did breed and put the time into. At least that's how I feel like it. I just feel like I get more of a excitement out of it. Obviously, breeding for me is not fun. I mean, it is okay because what I normally do is I turn on a podcast. But it's not my favorite thing to do. Let's put it that way. It's definitely not my favorite thing to do as far as podcast, or not bleh, as far as just stuff to pass the time. Although I just turn on podcasts, listen to music, but it's still kind of I'd rather be playing VGC. I'd rather be playing other games. I don't know, Mario Kart 8, Zelda Breath of the Wild, just other stuff. Other than that, but obviously the reward factor when you finish that Pokemon and you get that feeling yes. And I remember the first time I started breeding was actually around last year in the summer, and I was breeding for an Alolan Ninetales. That was early in the summer. For VGC 18, because I always played on Showdown before, but I built my team in game, and I spent a good, probably solid week breeding Alolan Vulpix, and finally I got one that had perfect IVs. It had 5 best in IVs, and it had just decent in attacks. It wouldn't take as much from foul play, and it was timid, and I finally got Snow Warning on it, and I was just so happy. And I'm like, yes, I can finally get my Alolan Ninetales. And then I realized, wait, is Moonblast an egg move? So what? And it was. And it was the most frustrating moment for me, because at that moment, I'm like, I wanted to be done with the Alolan Ninetales or Alolan Vulpix. But I went back and I got Moonblast on it, and that feeling of getting Moonblast and finally after like 2 weeks of just straight up breeding and breeding and breeding and listening to music and whatnot and on and off, it was so satisfying to get that. It was so satisfying to be able to, make to breed that Pokemon and to see those perfect stats. It was a very satisfying moment, and that's why I do like reading my Pokemon. I also like playing by the rules, in my opinion. Okay, that sounds kind of like douchebaggy. I'm sorry, but I like. Yeah, I guess I kind of like playing whatever. That still sounds bad. I like playing legit. That might come across as harsh. I don't mean it to. Um, but I like playing. I like playing when obviously there's a lot of stuff that you have to throw into the pot, but there's also this so obviously I'm gonna relate it to cooking, I guess. So obviously the more time and more effort you spend on a dish, the better the result probably will be, right? So if you put a lots of spices and herbs in and slow cook them, I don't cook, by the way. I'm just doing a very weird example. And take the time and prep for that dish. The dish is gonna be very good, and you're gonna feel good about that result. Well, obviously with Pokemon, taking that time to breed, it really just makes it's like that dish. The more time you spend on the dish, the better it feels once the dish is done. And even if it is a bad result, you'll feel worse, but you also feel like I want to try that again. While PK Hex, it's just like, hey, I'm going to have this guy just do it for me. It's not as rewarding, It's not as rewarding in my opinion. So, another thing is, it makes me mad. Hacking makes me mad. You may say, what do you mean? I'm not gonna be like, there's so many hackers in VGC triggered. No, that's not me. My kind of thing is, it makes me mad because this might be kind of, I don't know, weird. Not weird, I don't know. But I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. But see, my parents are like those type of parents that they restrict me on like how much time I spend on my electronics. Like I have 2 hours a night, and sometimes spent talking to friends, sometimes playing VGC, sometimes spent playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, sometimes spent just playing other games, breeding Pokemon, watching YouTube. Obviously, I just want some downtime, and some nights I have just stuff going on, homework. I've been involved in Boy Scouts as well, so it doesn't leave me much time to really breed Pokemon and still be able to practice a whole lot. And so that's why it pains me because I could PK Hex and save so much time. In fact, one of my friends PK Hexes, but he does not play competitively at all. It's just like he PK Hexes in his own personal game casually. Like he doesn't play against anyone online. It's just basically his philosophy is, if he's gonna enjoy his game, he's not going to tournaments or anything. It helps him save time by breeding in Pokemon or by hacking in Pokemon, and he's not using it for tournaments. But it is quite funny because we did battle. He and I did battle, and he used a Extreme Evo Boost Mega Rayquaza, which was insanely hard to beat. At first, I had a Pheromosa that had Ice Beam, and so I was able to deal with it that way. And then he's like, I'm going to give it a Focus Sash. And I'm like, please don't. And he did. And so, I resorted to using the most scumbag strategy in return. I used a Sash Rattata, obviously the Quick Attack, or the Endeavor Quick Attack set. And I did end up winning that round, and it was a very satisfying feeling, but that's besides the point. I have someone that I could literally go up to them and say, hey, hack me in these Pokemon, and my friend probably would be willing to do it, but I don't, because, it's that reward feeling that I get, but it's always, nagging me where, I want more free time, sometimes with my electronics and 3DS and Pokemon and whatnot, but breeding kind of holds me down. It's like, hey, if you wanna actually do well at tournaments, you better do this. And I'm like, oh, I want to practice. I got practicing to do. I have teams to test. I had to revise my team for Worlds. I had to think of counter strategies. I have friends that I want to talk to and all this. Come on now. it's kind of unfair, honestly. Um, but and that makes me mad because I'm like, well, I can just switch over to PK Hex, and problem solved. I had just lots more time now. And I could have lots more time. That's why I feel like it divides the community almost. I'm gonna check the time real quick. Huh. Been recording for a while. I feel like it divides the community. Because obviously you have the people that hack, and it saves them so much time. But you have the people that still, play legitimately and braid legitimately. But obviously they're at a disadvantage because of the time, obviously at the practice level. But even just like free time is given up. They have just an advantage in general. Like not even in Pokemon, just like other stuff. I mean, people say, I have college, I have a girlfriend, I have friends that I play, go to the movies with, play video games with. That's not Pokemon. Like I have a life, and honestly, you gotta live your life. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for hacking, but I mean, you do have to find the balance. So, like, you have to, in my opinion, you should breed your Pokemon, but people have lives, and hacking, or not hacking, but breeding takes a lot. And that's coming from a high school student that has quite a bit of free time, but only 2 hours a night, essentially. So, yeah, there's that kind of divide, almost. So, yeah, I guess that's one thing. That I just feel like it just kind of, people say, I have a life, but, I have a life, I have stuff to, do, but that's a part of Pokemon, and that's the weird thing, breeding your Pokemon is a part of competitive Pokemon, which, I mean, it sounds like a duh, but it's interesting to think about when compared to other sports, esports at least, but obviously, people have a life, but you still gotta find that intermix, or you still have to find that, time that you can breed your Pokemon and whatnot, at least in my opinion. But it is hard to balance that, to still enjoy other games, like, because, yeah, I like Pokemon, but am I going to want to play Pokemon 24/7? Of course not. I don't want to play 24/7. I'm playing through Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I'm having probably the best time I've ever had in my life playing a video game, except, like, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers at the time. Or, like, freaking Club Penguin when I was, like, in 3rd grade. The game was the best. Anyways, yeah, like, I have other stuff I want to do rather than Pokemon. So obviously, it's like it's like so easy for my mind to like gravitate towards hacking, but I'm like, no, I can't. I want to stay truthful to my game, and that's where I feel like it just divides. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like it divides maybe the mindset of players and how they want to approach the game. And some players actually think it's completely legal to hack Pokemon. Now I'm not gonna get into this part, but no, it is not. Like, hacked Pokemon are not legal. And even the offspring of hacked Pokemon aren't. It clearly states in the rules. That's my value on it. You play better. Really just like for hacking the pros, I guess. You play better, not better, but you get more practice in if you hack. I feel like another thing I do want to talk about is something that I'm kind of pissed about at this point. Which is, like, yes, breeding, not really, but legendaries. Let's talk about legendaries for a second, ladies and gentlemen, because this is pissing me off. So, and I don't often use some strong words, but like I'm gonna talk about this. So, legendaries, right? You get it once per game. You just once per game, right? So what happens? Let's say you got a Groudon. And I don't know, for some reason, Jolly Groudon's really good in Sun and / Moon series, right? And then all of a sudden you switch over to Ultra and everyone's like, oh, Adamante's better. Okay. So, like, Jolly Groudon, I don't think Jolly Groudon's good. I have a Jolly Groudon, right? And I don't think in the Ultra series Jolly Groudon's good. I like Adamant Groudon, personally. So, what does that mean for me? Well, if I want to have a better chance of winning Worlds and doing well, I better get an Adamant Groudon. Well, how am I going to do that? If I'm playing legitimately, like, other people could say, hey, I'm just going to PK Hex this in. But for me, what I have to do is I have to start a whole new game. Because the people, my friends, have already caught their Groudon, right? The people that have Ultra Sun have already caught their Groudon, and it's not Adamant. And there was an event, and to be fair, there was a giveaway for this, and I should have entered, but I did not. But I feel like in general, like even just like beyond looking past that point, for the people who missed it, for the people who didn't miss it, or maybe for the people that maybe there's another legendary pair that they need. They need this like other nature. But for me, I'm going to have to start a whole new game if I want Adamant Groudon. That's insane. Start a whole new game. On top of, I'm gonna have to trade it over. On top of, breeding. On top of breeding, Pokemon. On top of practicing. On top of calculations. On top of all of that, like I don't want to do that. And also that's the game costs like $40. Like I'd rather save that money. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where obviously you only get the legendaries once per game, but there are formats in which you're gonna need like maybe a format which one nature is better than the other. So let's say like for Necrozma Duskmane, Adamant's really good in Moon and Sun and Moon. I haven't run Necrozma Duskmane, so I don't know. But let's say in Ultra, it's Careful. Like Careful's the way to go. But let's say you already have an Adamant Necrozma Duskmane, and Careful has like a better upper hand against the things in the series in the metagame. You're going to be at a specific disadvantage because you don't have that. But the people that can just PK Hex it in have an advantage. And yes, you can go get yourself another one, but that requires time to restart a game. Not to restart, but maybe put everything in another save file, or just buy a whole new game, which is a little bit expensive at that. And then you have to take the time to play through it, then catch the legendary Pokemon, soft reset for it and whatnot. You could have soft reset it in the beginning of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but then it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? Let's say you soft reset in the beginning, thinking, one ability will be good, and then, you come to the format and you realize that, oh shoot, that's not the case. Yeah, that sucks. And also, what happens when, like, you trade away a legendary that, let's say for a person they trade away a legendary, and then they actually end up needing that legendary for a format. Like, that's also a big problem. These, like, one-time Pokemon, and, obviously the natures switch over. They can even switch over in a day. Like, let's say we go into Worlds and Adamant Groudon's really good, and then second day it's like, oh, we want to run Careful Groudon. It's like, what? Like, that's impossible. Like, how am I supposed to, like, take my, let's say, I'm gonna probably convert my Groudon, my Jolly Groudon to Adamant, maybe. Let's say I convert it to Adamant, and then it's like, oh yeah, Careful Groudon's good now. I'm like, I don't have enough time. I literally cannot. I'm not gonna speed run a game. The day before like Worlds, day 2. Obviously, I'm not like guaranteed in day 2. But let's say if I do hypothetically make it, for this example, like that's outrageous. Like, since the metagame can shift so quickly, and obviously these one-time Pokemon, I feel like that's unfair because it gives like the PK Hexers just such an advantage being able to adjust quickly, while the people that play literally can't, or the people that play legitimately cannot. So I feel like that's another big issue with hacking. But I don't know what time it is actually. It's 8:15. I don't know how long this video has been, but I think that's all I really wanted to talk about for today. There's probably some more stuff I could say about it, but for the people that did watch this video, this is not not going against, sort of going against in like attacking hackers. If you guys, if I were to say, meet a hacker, which I've met several people that are like, hey, I'm switching over to PK Hex. I'm like, oh, okay. But I said, I still don't think that's the wisest choice. Like, yeah, you can do what you want in the end, but I still feel like just hacking in general is not the best idea, as it can get you, like, disqualified from playing VGC, for a couple years, if you are caught. I don't think it's a good idea. You want to pay respect to your game, and that, in my opinion, you want to pay respect to your game. That's my thought on it, and it is illegal and it's hacking. But I'm not like hating on hackers. I'm just kind of stating, what my stance was on the matter and how I kind of thought of how I thought about hacking. And if anyone took this negatively, please note that I wasn't. This is just obviously my opinion on the matter, and I really hope you did enjoy, my thoughts and my insight on this. Obviously, I feel like there's a lot more I could say. Maybe I'll make second part to this on another later episode podcast. But I literally just wrote broad topics down, and then I just kind of went off of my head about what I wanted to talk about. But yeah, in the end, I don't think hacking is good in Pokemon VGC. I feel like it should. I don't think it should be here because I feel like it splits the community, and I feel like it does more harm than good in the end. Although you could argue for both, I think it does more harm than good. I would kind of like it to see it removed or something. Although I'm not so sure because it's become such an ingrained part in VGC that it's really hard to try to remove it. That could be another topic. It's just become too ingrained in the in the common player. So to remove it would be detrimental for the players. But that could be a whole nother subject. Yeah, like I said, these are my opinions on the topic. I know this is gonna be a very controversial video. I just hope, obviously, I respect my opinion. Yeah, my opinion is my opinion, and like I said, I don't hate hackers, guys. Now, if you say to me I hack, I'm gonna be like, I don't think that's the wisest choice. I would encourage you to play legitimately to breed Pokemon because I feel like it would make you feel better. And I feel like it's morally better in my opinion. But yeah, like I said, I'm not against hackers. But I went over basically everything I wanted to go in this video, just kind of talking about. I feel like both sides a little bit. Kind of going over the advantages and the disadvantages of both sides and how that can play into tournaments and whatnot. And so yeah, I don't think I have too much else to say. Like now that I'm coming to the end, obviously there's some stuff I'm thinking about, but I feel like this video has been long enough. I mean, I feel like this has been a pretty good length for a podcast. So yeah, this has been my Pokemon VGC podcast episode 3, hacking in Pokemon VGC. Now I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It's been lots of fun making these podcast videos. So if you did, smash that like button down below, and please consider subscribing to the channel. But anyways, guys, I'm Mythically Gallade, and I will see you guys later. Peace.